So let's move on to the next game we've got on our schedule. And the next game on our schedule is going to be the New Orleans Saints, who at one point I said was the best team in football, against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And you're going to take the Saints, and I'll take the Buccaneers, and we'll break them down. Let's start with offense with the Saints.
Well, first things first, maybe the slime that they got from the Nickelodeon game would bring them some mojo against Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But kidding aside, I believe that the Saints got off easy against the Chicago Bears because there have been some instances wherein they were were just plainly lucky. Chicago had that missed catch in the end zone by one of the receivers. There were some penalties in key instances of the game that could have given the Chicago Bears more points on the board and could have made the game closer. So for the New Orleans Saints to win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they must match fire with fire. Tampa Bay has a top-ranked offense. They have one of the best receiving cores, and they must do the same on their end. Drew Brees must always hit his receivers, Latavius Murray, and the guys with quick routes or in tight seams most of the time. And more importantly, they must get Alvin Kamara going, because once that run game gets going, then it will be hard for Tampa Bay to stop the pass. Mind you that the Tampa Bay secondary isn't as good as the Tampa Bay front line on defense. So that's a question mark as well for the Buccaneers coming into this game. Once Drew Brees hits his stride and is on target with his passes, they might be in for a long day against the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, I don't disagree with a lot of what you said there. I would say that I think the strategy is pretty close for both teams. You got two 40-year-old quarterbacks back there. Neither one's very mobile. To me, you have to offset what those quarterbacks do with some type of run game. You've got to try to create some type of balance. New Orleans has been pretty decent at it all year long. Tampa has lost their way some days. And when they find their way back and they run the ball 20 to 25 times a game with two very talented running backs they have, and they move the ball a little bit on the ground and maybe through short passes to the running back, it opens up so much of what Tampa wants to do, because Tom Brady is one of the best play action passers of all time. So if you give him a run game, something he can lean on that he could use as some window dressing for some quick drop back, play action, hit Gronk over the middle with a seam, play action, hit Godwin or coming across the middle or something like that. Tampa Bay is absolutely loaded with talent. This is all going to come down, in my opinion, to coaching. And whether Bruce Arians is whether to let go of his ego of that, chuck it and duck it, got to be 25 yards down the field every throw type of mentality, or if he's going to let Tom Brady be Tom Brady and pick defenses apart with short passing until the defense finally tires down, until that talented front four of New Orleans finally tires down and gets tired of trying to catch a Tom Brady they can't catch. They start to slow down and put their hands up. Now I've got my 5-step drops. Now the second half, I'm 5-step dropping it, and I'm hitting Antonio Brown down the sideline. I'm hitting Mike Evans down the sideline. Tom Brady needs time to do it. I think the first half, they come out, run the ball, dominate the clock, short passing. Second half, you open up and go back to your style of offense. And I think that's the key for Tampa Bay. If they don't mix it up, if they come and try to be one-dimensional, they're dead. It's going to be over for them. Let's go to the defense. Let's talk about what New Orleans needs to do to be successful against a Tom Brady-led offense.
So Tom Brady, even at age 43, would like to throw the long pass. In fact, he made 63 passes or 63 completions of 20 yards or more in the season. And he does have the personnel to do it. I mean, just start with a Godwin and a Mike Evans, and even Cameron Brate is emerging, not to mention Rob Gronkowski, who elevates his game come playoffs or postseason time. So that's already 4 receivers that the New Orleans secondary have to mark in every possession or in every down. And they have to follow these personnels, be it man-to-man or just plainly check them when they are in zone coverages. Luckily, the Saints have one of the better pass defenses in the league. But with such a talented receiving core that is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they cannot let their guards slip up even for just one possession because they are capable of making the big play, as we've seen against in Tampa Bay's Super Wild Card game. That they can just quickly pick their stride and find someone on the seam and gain 20 or 30 yards quickly. So I guess the key for New Orleans to win this game is to limit Tom Brady's completions for long yardage or long passing yards. And if they can do that, then they'll be in for a treat, and that elevates their chance to go to the championship game of the NFC.
Yeah, look, I don't disagree with what you're saying there. I honestly think that New Orleans is one of the more talented defenses left in the playoffs. I think they're a very complete defense. Them and the Rams, to me, are the two best defenses left in the playoffs right now. So, but Tampa Bay's got a good defense, not a great one, a good defense. And their front five, their front seven is really what separates them from everything else. Decent pass rush, the fastest linebackers in the NFL, if not some of the fastest linebackers in the NFL, and an okay secondary. They are weak in the secondary. So Tampa Bay has to be able to cover that up by dropping linebackers and rushing 4 people. That is not the way to get to Drew Brees. Drew Brees has to have pressure on him, and he has to have pressure right up the middle. If you can get pressure on Drew Brees up the middle, and you can contain an Alvin Kamara. Alvin Kamara, to me, is the key to that offense. Alvin Kamara, Taysom Hill, when Hill's playing that wing back, quarterback, you don't know what the heck he's going to be type of position. If you can isolate those 2 players and somehow say to yourself, anytime those guys are on the field, we've got to stop them from doing something special, I think you'll be fine. Michael Thomas, since he got this big deal, has become a pretty average wide receiver. He's okay. New Orleans is not loaded with offensive talent, in my opinion, aside from Kamara and, maybe the Taysom Hill wild card type of position there. Everybody else on that team is okay at best. So they can be shut down. They can be slowed down. But you've got to be able to get to Drew Brees. Drew Brees at 40 years old, coming off a broken rib and a collapsed lung, does not want to be hit. And if you can hit him a few times and get up in those ribs, and I'm not saying you go out and hurt the guy. I'm saying you get up in those ribs and you remind him of how much he doesn't want to be hit. And I think you could turn that game into your favor and turn it into a completely different conversation. Tampa Bay's got an opportunity, but they've got to get the game.